This is day 3 of my 100-day project, and I'm doing 100 days of art videos. Today I'm doing a version of a card that I've done a couple of times just as a greeting card, and this time instead of it being a card, I'm blowing it up into a larger piece because I have the space with this canvas. So the first thing I'm doing is mixing up this ombre vibe. And what I'm really trying to do is emulate the different colors that you would see if you go natural blueberry picking, or wild blueberry picking, I should say. So if you've ever been wild blueberry picking, you'll know that the berries aren't all the same color. Sometimes they're a paler blue, other times they're this really pretty royal blue, and then they can even fade into a purple or a pinkish red color. So I have these 6 different colors, and the first thing I do is I put down my lightest blue, and that's going to be my guide for the subsequent rows. And then I did the same thing with my remaining 5 colors, and I put them vertically so that I just knew where my lines were going to go. And I've done this before with a ruler, and it just looks totally overplanned. So that's why it kind of looks not perfectly lined up and not perfectly sized and everything like that, because it just looks a little bit more freehand this way, which is the vibe I was going for. So I do all of my little dots, my little berries, and then comes the hardest part for me, which is waiting for them to dry. But before I do that, I mix up a little bit of 3 different colors of green, 3 different versions of green, I should say, and that's what I'm going to use as their little leaf tops. And I wanted to do different colors, different versions of green for the different berry lines, because I just thought it would add a really interesting visual interest. And because my berries aren't 100% dry while I'm doing this, the green kind of bleeds into the color a little bit. You can't see that well because I didn't super zoom in while I was doing this, but I really liked the way that it looked when they bled together. So while my berries are drying, I'm just taking this sketchbook that I have. It's nothing super fancy. It's just kind of like recycled paper. And I am penciling out some different versions of the text that I want to put with this piece, which is "I love you very much," which is a great pun as far as I'm concerned. So I do this with a lot of my my cards and just any pieces that have text involved. I like to try a bunch of different versions of the text that I'm going to be using, and then I pick which one I like the best, and that's the one that goes onto the card. So I've tried a bunch of different versions here. In the card version, I just do it like really tiny in the bottom corner, but because I have more space, I'm able to do a bit bigger text. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just penciling it onto the canvas. And then last minute, I decide to put a little bit of a yellow background in behind it. And as I'm doing it, I was thinking to myself, oh, I should have done the entire background yellow. It would have looked really cool. But I stick with just the background for the lettering. So while I'm waiting for the background of that lettering to dry, I finish up my berries. And what I like to do with some of my watercolor pieces is to use my 0.5 tip marker to do an outline, and I find that this is a lot of fun for drawings that or paintings I should say, that you want to transform from paintings into more of an illustration. And so for some of the food related pieces that I do, I like to kind of do an outline, and then it becomes more like a scientific drawing or a little illustration, which I just really enjoy the look of that. So I just do a little circle, and they're imperfect circles. I didn't zoom in enough for you to see, but there's blue outside of the line, there's white space inside the line, and so it just kind of gives it this almost whimsical quality, if you want to use that word, which might be an overused word, but that's kind of the vibe that I was going for. And I'm really impatient, so I decided to just go for it with the lettering, and I should have waited, because at the very end you'll see that it bleeds a little bit, but such is life. That's my impatience. I gotta work on it. But that's it, day 3. I love you very much.